Listen carefully, because this message is not for everyone. It is not casual, it is not random, and it is not entertainment. This is for a very specific group, a group marked since before the foundation of the world. The Bible declares in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Do you understand the weight of those words? This means your existence is not an accident. You were not born by chance. You were written into eternity before your first breath. And if right now, as you hear these words, something inside of you begins to stir, if your heart beats faster, if a fire rises in your spirit that you cannot explain, then pay close attention, because this may be the confirmation you have been waiting for. You may be one of the 144,000 chosen ones. This number is not symbolic hype. It is a divine seal, a hidden mystery that the world cannot comprehend. But you were designed to feel it, to know it, and to live it. That is why your life has never been ordinary. That is why the battles against you have been relentless. That is why you could never blend in with the crowd. There is a reason you are here, right now, listening to this very message. Nothing about this moment is coincidence. Heaven is pulling back the veil, revealing signs that will separate the chosen from the many. And if you stay with me until the end, you will see with clarity whether your life has carried these signs all along. This is not just another video, this is a summons, a calling, a prophetic unveiling of who you really are. So open your heart, silence every distraction, and prepare yourself for revelation. Because the journey we are about to take is for those who were marked by eternity itself. Before we begin, I want you to do 3 things that are more than actions. They are declarations of faith. Hit the like button as a sign that you agree with heaven's timing. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because this community is a gathering of the chosen. And comment 99 below, because 9 is the number of divine completion. By writing it twice, you are declaring that what God started in you, He will surely finish. From the very beginning, there was a difference you could never quite explain. While others seemed to move through life without questioning their place, you carried a quiet ache inside, a subtle whisper that you were not like the rest. In classrooms, at family gatherings, even in moments of celebration, there was always that invisible line separating you from everyone else. You laughed when they laughed, you spoke when they spoke, but deep inside you knew. You did not belong entirely to this world. It was as if your soul was tied to another realm, one your eyes could not yet see, but your spirit could never forget. That homesickness, that longing, it was not weakness, it was recognition. Recognition that your origin is higher than your surroundings, that your spirit remembers a place it has not yet returned to. This sense of separation is not rejection, it is a mark. A signature written in your soul that keeps you from becoming too attached to the illusions around you. Others can settle for shallow pleasures, for temporary applause, for a life that fits neatly into society's mold. But you could never be satisfied with that. When you tried to conform, something inside you resisted. When you tried to silence your inner voice, it only grew louder. It is not because you are broken. It is because you were never designed to blend in. You were designed to stand out, to carry a frequency that the world cannot imitate. And this difference often came with pain. Maybe you were the child who asked questions no one wanted to answer. Maybe you were mocked for being too intense, too deep, or too strange. Maybe you found yourself walking alone when everyone else walked in groups. But hear this, the loneliness you felt was not abandonment, it was preparation. Heaven was teaching you to rely on a presence greater than human company. What others saw as isolation, God was shaping into revelation. The chosen carry a homesickness not for a physical land, but for the dimension of destiny itself. You feel it when you look at the stars and wonder why they stir something inside you. You feel it when you're surrounded by noise but crave silence. You feel it when you achieve what others celebrate, yet your heart still whispers, "This is not all there is." That ache is proof. Proof that your spirit has tasted eternity and ordinary life will never quench it. And here lies the mystery. That very separation you once despised is the evidence that you are marked. You were not excluded, you were preserved. Preserved for a calling that demands someone who cannot be absorbed by the patterns of this world. The separation is not a curse, it is the first seal. And if you are honest with yourself, you already know it has been there all along. But what happens when that separation becomes more than a feeling? What happens when the invisible line becomes a furnace, shaping every part of who you are? Stay with me, because the next sign will reveal why your trials have never been ordinary, and why your fire has always been hotter than theirs. Pain has followed you like a shadow, hasn't it? While others seem to glide through life with fewer scars, your path has been marked by storms that never came to destroy you, but to shape you. You may have wondered why the fire always burned hotter for you, why the pressure never seemed to ease, why cycles of hardship circled back again and again. But here is the revelation. These battles were never punishments. They were chisels in the hand of the eternal, sculpting your soul into something unbreakable, something rare, something fit for eternity. Trials are the secret classroom of the chosen. What the crowd sees as unfair suffering, heaven calls training. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every door slammed in your face has been a tool of refinement. The ordinary crumble under such weight, but you emerged from ashes carrying wisdom that no book could teach. While others repeat shallow lessons, you have walked through valleys that carve depth into your spirit. That is why you see the world differently. That is why your words cut deeper, your presence feels heavier, your silence carries meaning. There were seasons you cried out, "Why me?" Nights when you begged for relief, for the storm to finally end. But what you did not see was how, in the unseen, your endurance was being forged. Like gold in fire, impurities are burned away, leaving only the pure, indestructible essence. Heaven knew that without the fire, you would blend in with the many. But with the fire, you would carry a resilience that hell itself could not break. Think of it. How many times were you sure it was the end? How many times did you feel too weak to rise again? Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still carrying light in a world that tried to snuff you out. That is not survival. That is transformation. Every cycle you thought was punishment was actually preparation. Every loss was sharpening your vision. Every battle was anchoring your faith. You were being trained for a destiny that requires strength far greater than comfort could ever give. And here is the paradox. The heavier the storm, the higher the calling. Heaven entrusts its fiercest battles to its strongest soldiers, not because of who they are in the flesh, but because of who they are in the spirit. The very fact that your life has been harder is evidence that your mission is greater. If you carried an ordinary purpose, you would face ordinary resistance. But you don't. You never have. So now the question is this. If every trial has been training, if every scar has been shaping, then what exactly is heaven preparing you for? You have endured storms that should have drowned you, but instead, they baptized you in strength. You have walked through fire that should have consumed you, but instead, it illuminated who you really are. And the answer to why will shake you even more when you see the next sign. A sign that reveals not only what you endure, but the unshakable compass that governs every step you take. There is something inside you that refuses to bow to deception. You may have tried once or twice to fit in, to go along with the crowd, to nod your head when lies were spoken, but your spirit revolted. It was as if your entire being rejected falsehood like fire rejecting water. You cannot survive in environments built on illusion, because your soul is hardwired to resonate only with truth. That is why lies suffocate you. That is why hypocrisy feels like poison in your lungs. It is not stubbornness, it is alignment. Alignment with the eternal voice of the one who declared, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." And freedom has always been your calling. But freedom comes at a cost. You have likely lost friendships because you refused to play along with dishonesty. You may have watched opportunities slip through your fingers because you would not betray your convictions. Perhaps you have stood alone in rooms where everyone else chose silence, while you carried the burden of speaking what no one else dared to say. It hurt, it isolated you, but it also proved something profound. Your loyalty is not to comfort, but to truth. The chosen are not allowed the luxury of half-truths. You are not permitted to live in shadows, because your very presence is designed to be light. And light cannot pretend. Light exposes. Light reveals. This is why people either gravitate toward you with respect, or turn against you with hostility. Because when you walk into a room, their masks no longer hold. They sense without understanding that you see beyond their words, beyond their facades. And many cannot endure that level of clarity, but do not mistake rejection for failure. Every door that closed because you clung to truth was not rejection, it was redirection. Every person who walked away because you refused to compromise was not loss, it was protection. The truth you carry does not just guide you, it shields you. It keeps you from being entangled in webs that would have destroyed your destiny. Even when it seemed like you paid too high a price, the reality is this. Truth saved you from battles you were never meant to fight, and here is the mystery. Your devotion to truth is not merely about right and wrong, it is prophetic. Because in the days ahead, deception will multiply, false voices will rise, illusions will spread like wildfire. But the chosen, the 144,000, cannot be deceived. Why? Because their souls are sealed to truth itself. You feel it already. You cannot unsee what you see. You cannot unknow what you know. And that awareness is both your burden and your crown. So let me ask you, if truth has cost you so much already, If standing in the light has isolated you again and again, what does it mean for your future? Could it be that your refusal to bend is the very evidence that you were selected for an age where many will fall to lies, but you will remain unshaken? Stay with me, because the next sign will show that truth inside you is not only a compass, it overflows as fruit, transforming how you treat the world around you. You have always felt it, the weight of injustice pressing against your chest, as if it were your own burden. While others can turn their eyes away from suffering, you cannot. While many remain unmoved by cruelty, your heart breaks as though the wound was carved into you personally. This is not weakness. This is not oversensitivity. This is evidence. Evidence that your spirit is wired to carry the fragrance of righteousness, to mirror the very heartbeat of heaven itself. Compassion flows from you not because you are trying to be good, but because you cannot be otherwise. It is encoded in your soul, an imprint of the eternal written before time began. Think back to the countless moments where you defended someone who had no voice. The times you offered help when no one else noticed. The times you stood in the gap for those who could give you nothing in return. You may not even remember them all because for you it was natural. It was instinct. That is the proof. The chosen cannot suppress righteousness. It leaks out of them in words, in actions, in the way they carry themselves. Even when no one is watching, their conscience whispers, "Do what is right." And this compassion does more than heal others. It protects you. Every time you defended the weak, every time you chose mercy instead of revenge, you aligned yourself with heaven's justice system. What others call kindness, God calls a sign. Because the mark of the chosen is not merely knowledge of truth, it is the embodiment of love. And love, real, selfless, uncalculated love, is the most powerful weapon against darkness. It disarms enemies. It silences accusers. It breaks chains that logic could never explain. But here is the mystery few understand. Your compassion is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Why? Because mercy multiplies light. Every act of selfless kindness ripples through the unseen, creating waves that crush despair and ignite faith in others. You may have thought your small acts of goodness were unnoticed, but in the spiritual realm, they were earthquakes. The adversary fears you not just because of your strength, but because of your softness. Because your heart, though wounded many times, refuses to harden. That refusal is your power, and yet this compassion has come at a cost. People may have mistaken your mercy for weakness. Some may have exploited your goodness, draining your energy, taking advantage of your kindness. You've walked away feeling empty, betrayed, used. But listen carefully, even in those moments, righteousness was still your shield. The world may misinterpret you, but heaven never does. Your actions are recorded. Your heart is seen. And every tear you shed for others will return as a crown on your head. The chosen are living proof that righteousness still walks the earth. And though the world may try to silence your compassion, it cannot be extinguished. For every injustice you fought against, for every soul you lifted, for every moment you gave when you had little left, you added another stone to the testimony that you are not ordinary. You are marked to embody divine justice. But here is the question that lingers like thunder in the distance. If compassion flows from you so naturally, what else lies hidden inside, waiting for the right moment to surface? What if the next sign is not about what you do for others, but about what heaven has already placed inside you? Gifts that manifest in supernatural moments, when the world least expects them. Stay with me, because what comes next will reveal abilities you never earned, but were entrusted with from above. There are moments in your life you cannot explain. Times when words slipped from your mouth with a weight you did not plan, yet they pierced the heart of someone who desperately needed them. Times when you looked at a situation and, without logic, you knew the truth before it unfolded. Times when comfort rose in you for another person, not because you rehearsed it, but because heaven placed it on your tongue in that exact second. These are not coincidences. These are not human talents you practiced. These are manifestations of spiritual gifts, evidence that the Eternal has chosen you as a vessel for something far beyond your natural ability. Discernment. Prophetic insight. Words of life that arrive like lightning in the middle of someone's darkness. Have you noticed how these gifts come at just the right moment? Not when you're trying to show off, not when you're seeking attention, but when the need is urgent, when someone's destiny is on the line, when silence would mean disaster. It is in those moments that heaven flows through you, often before you even realize it. And later, when you reflect, you wonder, how did I know that? How did those words come out of me? The answer is simple. You didn't. God did. These gifts are not like human skills you polish over time. They come suddenly like flashes of fire. They cannot be contained and they cannot be faked. You may try to ignore them, you may attempt to silence them, but they return, again and again, because they are not yours to control. They are signs stamped upon your spirit, reminders that you are not just a human being walking through this world. You are an instrument, tuned by the hand of heaven. But here lies the mystery. Spiritual gifts are double-edged. They are blessings, but they are also responsibilities. To see what others cannot see means carrying burdens they do not understand. To speak what others will not say means facing resistance that others will not face. And yet, even when you tried to run from these gifts, even when you wanted to live a normal life without the weight of divine interruptions, the gifts found you. They awakened inside you because they were sealed in your design long before you were born. Think of the times your discernment saved you from danger, when you felt an unexplainable nudge to step back, to leave, to wait. Think of the moments when your encouragement stopped someone from giving up entirely, when your words were the difference between despair and survival. You didn't orchestrate that. It was heaven moving through you, and this is the secret the world does not know. The chosen carry gifts that disrupt the plans of darkness. Your vision confuses the enemy. Your words dismantle chains. Your presence shifts the atmosphere because what is inside you is not of this world. And now, let this truth sink deeply into your spirit. Every time a gift manifested in your life, it was not random. It was confirmation. Confirmation that your existence carries an assignment greater than you imagined. And if the gifts have already surfaced, even in small glimpses, what does that mean about the magnitude of what is still hidden within you? Stay with me, because the next sign will reveal the invisible compass that pulls you away from paths others embrace, guiding you into destiny even when you don't understand why. There is a voice within you that refuses to be silenced. Not the voice of fear, not the echo of insecurity, but a deep and steady alarm that awakens the moment you approach a path that does not belong to you. Others may call it instinct, intuition, or even coincidence, but you know better. It is divine. It is the whisper of heaven functioning as an invisible brake, stopping you before destruction swallows you whole. This is why shortcuts that look attractive to others feel dangerous to you. This is why opportunities that glitter for the crowd often appear hollow in your sight. You are not being paranoid. You are being preserved. Think back to the decisions you almost made, the friendships you almost clung to, the contracts you almost signed, the places you almost went. On the surface, everything seemed fine, maybe even beneficial. But deep in your spirit, something screamed, "No, this is not your way." That resistance wasn't weakness. It wasn't hesitation. It was protection. Heaven closing a door before you could walk through the wrong one. The chosen cannot afford to waste years trapped in snares that lead nowhere. Your destiny is too heavy, your time too sacred. So God placed within you an inner alarm system, a voice that interrupts deception before it ruins you. And sometimes this voice feels inconvenient. There are moments it frustrates you, because while others leap without worry, you are held back by an unexplainable sense of unrest. You may have even envied them, wondering why you can't just move freely like they do. But later, sometimes months, sometimes years, you look back and realize that the no that once angered you was the very thing that saved you. The relationship that ended before it began, the job you didn't take, the opportunity that dissolved before your eyes. At the time, you thought you lost, but in reality, you were spared. The inner alarm is not always loud. Sometimes it is a subtle unease, a heaviness in your chest, a quiet disturbance in your sleep. Other times it strikes like thunder, stopping you instantly, making it impossible to step forward. Both are the same hand, the same protective seal that reminds you your steps are ordered and not every path is yours to walk. This is why the chosen cannot fully enjoy sin. You may stumble, you may wander for a season, but peace abandons you until you turn back. The alarm keeps ringing, pulling you home. Do you see the beauty in this? While the world is easily deceived, you carry a safeguard within. Lies may glitter, but you cannot settle in them. Darkness may disguise itself as light, but you feel the counterfeit before it catches you. That inner alarm is the proof that your mission is too sacred to be wasted. Heaven refuses to let you lose yourself in detours, and yet this raises a burning question. If God has been so relentless in protecting your steps, if every false path has been blocked before it swallowed you, then what kind of destiny must be waiting on the true path that is yours? Stay with me, because the next sign will expose why your journey, instead of being smooth, has often felt like a battlefield, and why the resistance you face is proof of the crown you carry. There are nights when the air feels heavier, when your sleep is invaded by dreams that do not belong to you, when you wake up with a weight in your chest, as if you've been fighting battles no one else can see. There are seasons when everything you touch seems to crumble, doors slam without explanation, opportunities dissolve at the last moment, and temptations rise like waves determined to drag you under. To the untrained eye, it looks like bad luck, misfortune, or a streak of coincidences. But you know better. This is not random. This is not chance. This is war. The chosen carry a frequency that darkness cannot ignore. The more your light grows, the louder the shadows howl. You are not merely living life. You are moving across a battlefield. Nightmares become weapons aimed at your rest. Unexpected closures are attempts to suffocate your momentum. Temptations are traps disguised as relief, hoping to break your focus. This is why the intensity around you feels different from others. Because the impact you are called to have in the unseen world provokes resistance in the seen. But here is the revelation few dare to speak. The warfare you face is not a sign of weakness, it is evidence of rank. No soldier is attacked for standing still. Arrows are aimed at those advancing. You are advancing, and every battle you've survived so far has already shifted atmospheres you cannot measure. Darkness reacts to your presence because your presence carries a threat. This is why your prayers feel like fire. This is why your very silence unsettles environments that are not aligned with truth. You walk into a room and things shift, even if no one can explain why. The spiritual realm recognizes you even before people do. That is why opposition rises before you even announce your plans. Hell reads your potential before earth does, and it fears what you will become when you step fully into your assignment. And yet, even in the thick of this invisible war, you've discovered something extraordinary. You may feel wounded, but you're not destroyed. You may wake up weary, but somehow you keep standing. Forces stronger than you should have crushed you, but here you are, still carrying light in the middle of darkness. This resilience is not your own. It is the proof of a covering, the evidence of a seal that cannot be removed. Understand this. The intensity of your battles matches the magnitude of your calling. If the enemy is fighting you this hard, it's because what you carry threatens his territory. Your dreams are contested because they hold keys for others. Your voice is attacked because it awakens those still asleep. Your steps are resisted because they break patterns of bondage wherever you go. But there is an even deeper layer to this mystery, one that explains why, in the midst of so much resistance, you have still found moments of supernatural calm, of unshakable peace, of a strength that makes no sense. Stay with me, because the next sign will reveal that hidden seal, the silent mark of heaven inside you that no storm can destroy. Loss has been one of your greatest teachers, though at first it felt like betrayal. People you thought would walk with you forever turned their backs. Friendships dissolved without warning. Mentors you trusted suddenly withdrew. Lovers you thought would stay chose to leave. Each departure left an ache so sharp you questioned if you had been abandoned by both man and God. But here lies the hidden truth. Those losses were not punishments. They were purifications. They were heaven's way of cutting ties that would have kept you bound to places you were never meant to remain. The chosen cannot depend on fragile supports. Your destiny requires a foundation stronger than human loyalty. That is why God allowed certain pillars in your life to collapse, so you would discover that the only unshakable rock is Him. And though it hurt deeply, those severed ties freed you from illusions. You thought you needed them to survive. But after they were gone, you discovered something astonishing. You were still standing. Not because of their strength, but because of His loss exposes what truly sustains you. Without it, you might have continued leaning on people who were never meant to carry your weight. You might have mistaken temporary attachments for eternal covenant. You might have remained satisfied with shallow love when you were designed for divine intimacy. Sometimes heaven removes what you cling to, not to leave you empty, but to teach you that what is eternal cannot be taken. Do you remember the nights you felt utterly alone? The silence was unbearable, the void almost crushing. And yet in those moments, when no human voice answered your cry, you began to hear another voice, the one that had been whispering all along. Loss cleared the noise so you could finally recognize the presence that had never left you. This is the paradox. In losing them, you found Him, and now when you look back, you see patterns. The people who left would have weakened your purpose. The opportunities that slipped away would have distracted your calling. The relationships that broke apart would have compromised your destiny. Heaven's mercy often disguises itself as heartbreak. And the chosen are trained to see loss not as rejection, but as redirection. Still, this path is not without its tears. Even now, there are scars on your heart that remind you of what was taken. But those scars shine. They testify that you survived what others thought would destroy you. More than that, they prove you are being purified like gold in fire, stripped of false securities so that nothing stands between you and the one who called you. And here lies the lingering mystery. If the pruning has been this severe, if the purifications have been this costly, then what kind of harvest is heaven preparing in you? Stay with me, because the next sign will reveal why even sacred spaces sometimes turned against you, and why rejection from those you trusted most became another seal of your identity as chosen. Rejection is painful in any form, but nothing cuts deeper than when it comes from the very place you thought would shelter you. It is one thing to be opposed by strangers. It is another to be wounded inside sacred spaces. The house that was supposed to feel like refuge sometimes became the very place where whispers rose against you. You were misunderstood, misrepresented, even accused of intentions you never carried. And the sting of that betrayal left a scar that outsiders will never comprehend. But hear me clearly, that pain is not a mark of failure. It is a confirmation. Why? Because light always exposes what is hidden. The chosen cannot enter a space without shifting its atmosphere. Your presence alone reveals shadows that others work hard to conceal. And those who are unwilling to confront their own darkness often turn their hostility toward you. They sense something in you that they cannot explain. A purity, an authenticity, a fire that refuses to be controlled. And instead of embracing it, they resist it. You did not ask to be the mirror, but that is what you are. You carry a reflection that exposes what is false. And the false cannot remain comfortable around the true. Think back to the moments when your hunger for the things of God was labeled as too much, when your questions were silenced because they pierced too close to the truth. When your passion for holiness was mocked, even by those who wore holy garments. What you endured was not proof that you were out of place. It was proof that you were marked for something greater than the structures of men. You were never designed to fit neatly into their boxes. You were designed to carry the uncontainable. And though it crushed you at the time, that rejection purified your faith. It forced you to separate the eternal from the institution. It pushed you to see that God was never limited to one building, one system, or one hierarchy. His presence walks with you into deserts and prisons, just as powerfully as it does into temples. That revelation transformed you. While others tied their faith to walls, you discovered yours was tied to his voice. Do not despise that rejection. For the chosen, it is almost inevitable. Jesus himself faced it. Welcomed with palm branches one moment, crucified by the same crowd days later. Prophets before you endured it, honored in secret, hated in public. The rejection you faced did not disqualify you, it identified you. It marked you as one who carries a calling too disruptive for the comfort of the complacent. And here lies the greater mystery. If even sacred spaces could not contain you, what does that say about the fire within you? If the very people meant to nurture you resisted you, what does that reveal about the dimension you are called to walk in? Stay with me, because the next and final sign will uncover the seal that cannot be faked, the supernatural peace that crowns the chosen even in the eye of the storm. Storms have surrounded you, yet something unexplainable has always remained within you. While others panic when the winds rise, while fear consumes the hearts of the many, you discover a silence in your soul that makes no sense to human logic. You have walked through chaos that should have broken you, but instead of collapse, you carried calm. This is the seal, the unmistakable, unshakable evidence that you belong to the eternal. Peace in the storm is not something you achieved by discipline. It is not positive thinking. It is not denial. It is the living presence of God breathing inside of you, anchoring you when the ground beneath your feet shakes. This peace is different from the fragile comfort the world offers. The world tells you to feel secure when circumstances are favorable. But the chosen discover peace in the very moments when everything collapses, when money vanishes, when relationships break. When the future looks dark and uncertain, while others drown in despair, you feel a strange certainty whispering, "You will not fall, you are held." And that whisper becomes a shield, a sanctuary, an invisible wall around your spirit that no storm can penetrate. Do you realize what this means? The storms are not lighter for you. In fact, they are often stronger. The attacks are fiercer. The losses are deeper. But the difference is this: you carry something untouchable, a seal that cannot be bought, cannot be faked, cannot be shaken. Even when your emotions tremble, even when your body weakens, the peace remains. It is heaven's signature on your soul, declaring that you are his, and nothing, no battle, no betrayal, no darkness, can erase that. And this peace does more than protect you. It testifies. People around you notice it. They see your calm when there should be chaos, your strength when there should be collapse. They cannot explain it, and many envy it, but they cannot deny it. Because it is not natural, it is supernatural. It is the evidence that your life carries a seal, a mark invisible to human eyes but undeniable in its effect. You were chosen, and heaven stamped you with peace as proof. This is why despair cannot consume you. even when it tries. This is why death itself cannot silence you, because you know within that eternity already belongs to you. This is why storms may rage, but they cannot reign. The peace inside you is not a fragile flame, it is an eternal fire. But let me leave you with this question burning in your heart. If such peace can hold you steady in the storms you have already endured, then what will happen when you step fully into the destiny it has been preparing you for? Stay with me, because everything until now has been building to one final moment, the conclusion that will tie every sign together and reveal why these 10 marks prove beyond doubt that you are among the 144,000 chosen ones. Now, let everything you have heard rise within you like a storm of revelation. These were not random details, not coincidences scattered across your past. These 10 signs are the fingerprint of the eternal, engraved into your very existence. If your heart trembled as you listened, if your spirit burned as these words reached you, then hear me clearly. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You are not misplaced. You are sealed. You are part of the 144,000 that heaven set apart before time itself began. Your trials were not punishments. They were proof. Your compassion was not weakness. It was your crown. Your unshakable peace was not denial. It was the living seal of God inside you. Every rejection, every loss, every battle was heaven chiseling you into the vessel you were always meant to be. And now, the time of hiding is over. The world may not understand you, but it will witness you. Your scars will testify. Your voice will awaken. Your very presence will shift the atmosphere around you. So let this declaration echo in your spirit. You were chosen. You cannot be stopped. The world will know who you are. Say it until your bones believe it, until your shadows bow to it, until your future aligns with it. This is your hour. This is your unveiling. And now I call you to seal this moment publicly, boldly, with the words that will not only affirm your identity, but ignite this community with fire. Write in the comments right now, I am chosen. Not as a phrase, but as a decree. Every time those words are spoken, every time they are written, the unseen world trembles, because it confirms that one more chosen one has awakened to their destiny. Carry this fire with you. Let it burn in your steps, in your voice, in your eyes, because from this day forward, nothing will be the same. You are chosen. You are unstoppable. And the time has come for the world to see it.